Chit chat with Chiddy, Chidester, MD, specialized
Ron,
in hand
what's up,
and
man?
aesthetic surgery. Can't start my day.
Long time.
Welcome back to Chit Chat with Chiddy MD. I'm Jerry Chidester, and this is my co-host,
Ron Nichols.
Ron Nichols. We were just talking. The last time we did one of these episodes was back in April at my grand opening.
Is that when it was?
Yeah, it was like April 22nd, I believe, because we had Lee and Randy on my in-laws. We were talking
Well,
about
I can't remember. Like, it was right around the grand opening. It was for the grand opening we filmed, but I don't remember.
Yeah, we filmed it the week or so
Either way,
before.
it feels like a whole coronavirus ago.
Been, yeah, speaking of Corona, it's been wild.
It's crazy.
It's throwing everything off.
Yeah.
How's it been for your job that you, obviously aside from this, how's it been for your work?
I had gotten transferred to a work from home position like about a month before everybody went to lockdown. So my whole company went to work from home once the COVID thing happened anyways. Luckily, we have kind of the technologies and structure to do that. But I was already work from home. So even when COVID is kind of eased up because we have vaccines or whatever, then and people go back to the office, I'll still be at home.
Yeah.
So it's nice because now I can work from anywhere. I can live in the Philippines if I want and work. So.
That's good. I can't do that. I don't have that luxury, unfortunately. I can't operate from the Philippines.
One day we'll have robots where you can do virtual surgery.
remotely.
Like you sit on your couch and make the robot do the work.
Yeah, it probably will happen. It's going to be a few decades. But, they do have some of that stuff, but because of robotics and stuff. But anyway, well, today's episode, Ron and I had been kind of talking about some ideas of what we wanted to come back and talk about because it's been a while. And what I wanted to talk about was actually, during COVID-19 or coronavirus when it first hit us here in the U.S. and especially in Utah. I remember it was like March, it was like 17th or right around there.
I think March 17th was the
down.
day Rudy Gobert tested positive in the NBA, and the NBA shut down that night. And that was like the first milestone thing that America kind of took stock of the problem. And they're like, okay, the NBA is shutting down. Let's everybody reevaluate our business.
And it really did kind of hit. I mean, it started in Utah because of Gobert.
Yeah, even though they don't know where he got it from, because I guess there was a kid in Boston that had it, that he had signed an autograph for, so they never concluded whether he got it from that kid or somewhere else. But
at that point, that's when it just was like wildfire here. And I was at a play that night with Dear Evan Hansen downtown. And I remember I saw that information coming through at the intermission of the show. And I looked at Mindy, and we're sitting in this play, and I'm like, should we leave? Should we just get out of here? Because you start hearing everybody coughing, And this was so early on. People were still buying toilet paper because they didn't know what it was. Yeah. And we stayed. And the next day, they shut down all the plays. So that was the last night they performed that play at Eccles. Crazy. Everything shut down. That's when everything just started closing down.
I was in California the first week of February. And so at that point, I think Washington Washington was the first epicenter for the U.S. outside of mainland China and some of the Asian countries there. But I had already started thinking about it at the beginning of February. So I was in California. My cousin works for Disneyland. I was with him at dinner. I'm like, have you guys had any conversations yet as a company? Are you going to take extra screening precautions? What are you guys doing? And in the middle of or beginning of February, they weren't even considering anything yet. And I felt like if we would have all been more cognizant of it that early, maybe we wouldn't be seeing some of the levels that we've seen so far. But it was, it's crazy how it just beginning of February, about it, but nobody's really thinking too much about it. Then NBA thing happens in middle of March. And since then it's just been,
And then everything kind of started opening up around Memorial Day and then 4th of July. And obviously now we know what's going on. And
I feel like had this happened, you put that NBA instance, if that had happened at end of October or beginning of November, I don't think we would have felt such a need to open up the way we did. But summer was coming and people were just like, I'm not going to stay inside. One, you feel a little safer when you're outside, right? Just naturally you feel safer whether it's true or not. And so with summer coming, people at beaches and camping and hiking, you just felt like I can't stay indoors anymore. But had this happened in the winter, I think maybe people would have been able to tolerate staying indoors a little longer.
Well, I think we're going to see. I mean, the concern is, I think there's, the way things are going now, it still is going to be going on. And, again, like you mentioned, vaccine, all these things are in the works and they're in these phase trials to get it out, but it's going to take time so they find something that's viable. Anyway, so that's obviously going on with life. This is journaling what's happening this year in 2020. The other thing, too, if you're not from Utah, right at that same week, we had a pretty large earthquake for us. What was it, 5.7 or 5.9 or what was it?
I think it was revised to a 5.7.
Yeah.
But
that was wild.
I've been here 23 years, and it was the largest quake I've felt since I've been here.
Yeah, it's bigger than I ever felt in California. I was in California for 7 years, so I didn't feel anything that big.
There haven't been too many big, like California has had a couple, but here and there, it's just,
but that's...
So it was like, it was this multiplying effect.
Yeah, right.
It was
what
like,
is
okay,
happening?
we have a pandemic, now we have an earthquake. Like, it felt like end of days.
Yeah, especially here. Yeah, it got wild. But we've survived it. And so this is what I wanted to talk about today was social media, especially in plastic surgery and in my practice, and kind of how we navigated through it and how I think social media is playing a role for a lot of other companies now, not just mine specifically, but how people are adapting to using social media as a platform to advertise their business, especially during coronavirus and COVID-19, because people have to change. Like I said, you'd already kind of changed your role and your job, but for companies that need to go and advertise themselves and do business, when they can't bring customers into their store, when like the malls were shut down and things like, how else can you advertise and how else can you get people to, take your products and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So for us, when it came down to it we had just opened Jerry Chidester MD in January of this year, of 2020. So it only been 2.5 months. We are a brand new practice.
I felt like you were just getting your feet wet when you realized you had to shut down.
It was scary, and
especially having employees. That's scary.
Yeah. We had 8 full-time employees at that time. And we were busy. We were super busy, which was awesome. Such a blessing. But then we were I chose to shut down my elective surgery practice, and then later that evening, I had announced it. I actually canceled 2 surgeries that day. The patient showed up, and I said, you know what, for your safety and for what was going on, I shut it down. And because I had been thinking about it for like a week or so, and I finally said, I'm just going to do it. Because the other surgeons where I was operating at, they were wanting to too, but no one had stopped yet. So I just said, I'm done. And then that evening, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons came out and made a statement and said that all elective surgery across the country needed to stop. So it was good timing because we had already, we had planned, we had done it. So that just kind of backed up what I had felt. But with that being said, it's like I still had patients that needed to be seen. So I had, hand trauma patients, breast cancer patients. So we're an essential workplace because I still have patients that had to be seen, but all the elective cosmetic stuff, we had to switch to virtual. But it wasn't really a switch for us. The software that we use, Simplast, I do a lot of virtual consults.
For all your out-of-state patients.
Yeah, so I get a lot out of town, even like in the state, but that are kind of further away. We had already been doing virtual consults. So my staff was very well versed. We had the app, we had a protocol for how patients would download it. And so it was a very smooth transition for us. So that was the first thing, I think, is, we made the decision, one, not to shut down completely. A lot of places did. And even where I work, a lot of the patients, a lot of the staff in the other offices and stuff, they all furloughed. And we ended up making the decision not to do that. We did not furlough anyone. Everyone kept working, and so we tried to find ways for them to maintain their hours and to do things from home. And so we worked on a lot of things like putting together, protocols, putting together handbooks, putting together things that we could do so when we came back, we'd be ready to go and
investing
be that far ahead. Yeah. And so, whether it was the right decision or not, I think looking back, I think it was for our staff, because I feel like during that time, it was wild. So then, what? People were actually sitting at home. Everyone's in quarantine. What are they doing? And so I used social media as a platform at that time to try to educate people about corona. I mean, I'm not an infectious disease specialist. I'm not an epidemiologist. But what I tried to do was research and do the information, and for my audience to try and teach them or talk about it. So we had a lot of live sessions. I don't know if every day I'd be doing lives. We'd be talking about it because I think it was almost therapeutic for people to talk about what was going on.
Well, you know, it's like I would give the analogy when you're flying on a plane and you're hitting a lot of turbulence, and like if that makes you nervous, which I get nervous on turbulence. So when I hear the pilot come on and kind of talk through the weather patterns and what we're experiencing, that actually soothes me. Now I know he can't predict how bad the turbulence is going to be. Like there's certain things he just doesn't know, but just hearing his tone, hearing him talk about it in general is soothing. So I think for people dealing with corona, hearing doctors, especially if it's doctors they, somewhat know, even if it's just informal through social media, they may not be experts on infectious disease, but they have a medical background and they have a better understanding of it than, say, some news anchor or an opinion person in a newspaper. So I think that was therapeutic to people to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, and I think I had one follower. She's awesome. She's from Czechoslovakia, or the Czech Republic, sorry. And she had sent me a YouTube video from the Czech Republic, and they were talking about masks. And this was the beginning when the CDC and the WHO was like, don't wear masks.
Right.
They're not effective. Because I think everyone was focusing on if you're infected, it's not gonna matter, right? You have to have N95, you have to have the PEP or whatever. But this video was talking about just everyone wearing masks to help prevent the transmission. And so I remember I posted that and got some grief for it because they're like, why would we do this? And this is before no one here wore masks in the US.
Looking back, I mean, I remember those conversations we had nationally, and it's like, I can't understand what we were, I mean, me amongst people, like, why we didn't think masks would have a positive role in this, and it's like, it is just kind of unfathomable, like how we didn't think that through all the way. And when countries like Czechoslovakia had, it's like, it's strange.
It is strange when you and then a lot of the information they cited too was looking at like Korea and Japan and these countries where they always wear masks, because they've gone through things like SARS and all this other stuff, MERS, and so they're used to wearing masks and they had the lower rates too. What's
crazy is if you've gone on vacation to some big metropolises, LA, New York, Chicago, if you ever see tourists from Asia or Disneyland, Disney World, you've always seen them wearing masks, and you always have walked by, like I have. I've walked back like, oh, you silly, like why what are you wearing a mask here? Like nobody, like this isn't some kind of disease infected area, but there are obviously regional diseases, right? And so that was part of their culture is to always wear masks, and so that I imagine did play a role in.
I think it's going to have to become a part of our culture from now on. As much as we don't want to, and there's obviously this whole political part of this, which we don't want to get into right now.
Well, and there's going to be. They say there's going to be more. Like this isn't a one-stop shop, right? Like there's going to be new COVID, like new coronaviruses. What's funny is, remember when this first started, your mom sent you a picture of a bottle of Lysol, say, hey, this will kill it. Yeah. And that was true because there's other versions of coronavirus that Lysol disinfectant could kill. Yeah. And so this isn't going to be the last coronavirus we probably ever experience.
And there'll be new ones that come up.
It'll be COVID-22, right? Yeah, exactly. Or like whatever year it comes out in. But we have to be prepared for other types of respiratory issues.
Well, I have this whole funny but not funny story. So my mom called me. This would have been back in January. This was super early, before it even came to Washington. She said, or it was around the time of that first cruise ship in Japan. Yeah. Remember that one they like quarantined it. Yeah. And she's called me. She said, Jerry, you guys have a cruise the end of March. She's like, you need to cancel it. She's like, have you heard about this? It's like, Mom. I said, this is going to go two ways. Either one, it's going to be global pandemic and everything's going to shut down, or two, it's going to go nowhere. There's nothing in between. Right. Well, it obviously went the wrong way. Yeah. My mom told me so. Option. She was right, unfortunately. But yeah, so we ended up because everything got canceled, everything got shut down.
Yeah, but I mean, when you've seen how it was spreading in China, it was like knowing the commercialization of travel, like it was no way it wasn't going to get out, right? Yeah. And so it was just a matter of how quickly it got out, and
which I think we take for granted. Just looking back right before Corona, like how easy it was to be like, you know what, I'm going to go to Australia this weekend. I'm going to fly to Europe. It could be last minute. You get that last minute deal. How easy was that? Like I'm just going to go. Yeah. Like it really has shut down. Like you cannot do that anymore.
You can't do it, and even if you wanted to do it, you put in so much more extra thought. Like, okay, what are the risks associated? Like, will I be welcome there? You know, like even going state to state, you see like New York has its own ban of individual. It's up to like 31 states. It's you have to now quarantine if you go to New York.
Because they've got it under
Hawaii,
control. They don't want you to come in and ruin it for them.
yeah. Well, and even Hawaii has like a 2-week quarantine. If you show up, they make you
They check on
quarantine
you,
for
and they'll
2
be like, we
weeks.
will do random spot checks and see if you're there and how you're doing all that stuff. I saw some texts about it on TikTok, which we'll talk about in a minute. TikTok. But yeah, so that's kind of, so our business, just going back, looping back. So in March, everything shut down. We were still seeing patients, but I started seeing, and then in April, all of April, no surgery. I did not do any elective surgery. I did a lot of trauma calls still. But in April, for our practice, like I said, a lot of people were sitting at home. We're all quarantined, can't go anywhere. You know what people wanted to do? They wanted to have consults. I was so worried that, because we talk about the economy and things, and we still don't know where it's going to go, but seems fine. People still wanted to have surgery. It's not like I said you can't have it, or it's not like they decided not to. We all wanted it to happen. We just couldn't because there was this thing that was preventing it.
Did you hear from any of your patients, like during those consults, like was anybody more prone to get surgery because they got the extra stimulus money? Because I think you look at someone like that's in my position where I didn't lose my job, but I still got stimulus money. Like that was an extra boon to the economy, right? Because that's money I can now go spend because I haven't lost any. And so I imagine there might have been some people who maybe were on the fence of, oh, do I have enough to get elective surgery? Mm-hmm. Oh, now I got the stimulus and I kept my job. Like, did you hear any type of
I never had
a
patient tell me that specifically. Now, I'm sure that probably happened. Out of all the surgeries we had to move in April and then March, none of them canceled. So we had to move patients, reschedule. There was one patient that actually did cancel, and then she ended up rebooking right when things opened up again. So out of all the patients, we had quite a few patients we had to move. So whether it was because of the stimulus or whatever it was, the mentality was they still wanted surgery. This wasn't going to stop them. We just had to do it in a way that was safe for them when it was possible. So during April, I saw more consults. We saw a lot of consults in January, February, and even half of March. We had a great...
I can't even imagine your schedule like where you're doing a month nothing of consults. That's like normally you're balancing consults and surgeries. Yeah. And so now you're just backloading all these surgeries to once you were going to start opening again. Like that's crazy.
So we saw almost twice as many virtual consults as we did in April as we did in March. And then a lot of those people booked. And then we had our we just happened to have our grand opening April 22nd. So this was still before we could open. So we kind of took the approach of we're going to do things remotely. And all these patients that we saw virtually, I ended up seeing a lot of them have come back and in person because I'm not going to do surgery on anybody that I haven't seen in person. So that I kind of had to almost double up consults with them. But our grand opening was crazy too because we had such a huge response because it was still during Corona times, still is, but we were shut down still at that time. And so we did the virtual grand opening because we kept delaying and finally said, you know what, let's just do one. Let's do something different. Let's do it online. We had a bunch of giveaways at awesome companies that donated some awesome stuff. And we said, let's do this. And we had so many people book. I'm still operating on these patients, we've had so many, and then plus the ones that we've caught up with the ones that we had to move because all those people have been done now. I was operating 4 or 5 days a week in May and even in June, but now we're here end of July, and we're still busier than ever. And I really feel is that during that time, that trajectory, and we've just kept growing.
So how has it been? Because you share facilities with other surgeons, and you guys kind of have to split the availability of the surgery rooms. So it seems like you're now, I don't know if you said this already, but it feels like you're operating 4 days a week. So how has that been to balance your increased demand with the other surgeons? Like, have they seen similar increases? Or like, where does that extra capacity come from for you to do more surgery?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't track how they are, how busy the other surgeons are. But yeah, they made it work for me, 4 days a week. So now I'm kind of 3 days because some weeks will be 4, some weeks it's 2. So it balances out to about on average 3 days a week.
Okay.
But it's a full day. So, where I operate, essentially I can operate for 10 hours of surgery a day. That's kind of the limit. There's a cutoff. So that ends up being around 12 hours a day that we're there. So they're long days. Start early and late. But we've filled it. Every day is full. And it's 4 days a week. So they've been very nice to accommodate us because we've been so busy. There was one time that we had to actually go to another center to operate because they had no capacity. So at the very beginning, it was full because there's 7 plastic surgeons. So, and they all have very busy practice. They're very well established. So, but they've been very accommodating to help us. That's been good for patients. I don't have to operate on the weekends. I take call on the weekends, so I operate at the hospitals. But yeah, just trying to balance the cosmetic patients, my insurance cases, and then my on-call stuff. It's a lot. So we're trying to constantly balance that. We're growing. So now we have 9 full-time people.
Are you still doing like how many on-call days are you doing per week or per month?
So for one of the main trauma centers here, I do at least 3 a month. And then there's another hospital that I work at that I do probably 3 to 5. So I'm probably anywhere from 6 to 8 call a month still.
That's a lot. I thought you were going to cut down on it last time we talked about it.
I know. I'm trying to. I'll be honest. A lot of it is I do enjoy doing it. I like to serve the community, but it's only so far that I'm burning out. Yeah. So quite honestly, I'm trying to say, okay, what makes sense? Because I don't want to burn out and then and then I can't do anything.
Right.
So, but I'm worried about like a second wave of COVID and then not being able to do elective again. So how do I? So I've talked to Minnie about it, and we're just gonna kind of see. Am I gonna kind of change that at the beginning of the year, like in January, or what? I don't know yet. But
yeah, I've seen some calls for a national shutdown.
Yeah,
That probably won't happen because there's too many varying opinions on how to handle it. But it does feel like if you look at the numbers of infections and deaths now versus when we made the decision to shut down, like it's way worse now, and yet nobody's seriously considering a shutdown. It's kind of mind-boggling. Like, okay, we decided to shut down here, and it was nowhere near this. So what's it going to take for that next shutdown? Because it feels like it is inevitable until there's a vaccine on the immediate horizon.
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm not the expert. But to me, the only thing at this point, because of all the politics involved, the only thing that's going to force a shutdown will be what we saw like in New York, where states are so overloaded. Like it's going to be individualized where the hospitals are overloaded. They have no capacity, and we're not going to be able to send physicians back and forth across the country because everyone's going to be overwhelmed. So in my opinion, it'll be like Florida will have to shut down essentially because they'll be at capacity. Texas, Arizona, California, So that's to me when it's going to happen. It's not going to be on a national level.
Yeah, I don't think it would be national either. Right? Especially because there's some states that are actually doing pretty well with it. Like relatively speaking. Yeah. It's interesting. Utah. We've seen some higher number of cases than we have in the past. However, like if you look at our death rate, we have like one of the lowest death rates of any. Like we may have a high number of cases, relatively speaking, but like the death rate is like less than 1% of confirmed cases. So one day they're gonna do additional studies on this, and it'll be interesting to find out like why some places had higher death rates than others. So at least we can be thankful for that here in Utah, that the deaths aren't as significant.
Yeah. So it's fascinating. I think, we're living in something that we just, it's been over a century where something like this has happened in the United States. But it's all new, right? And now there's also this whole component of, again, talking about social media, like direct access where everyone has a voice, or like we think we do.
Your favorite platform is being attacked as a result almost of coronavirus. Like there's certain people that have linked China to the virus, rightly or wrongly, and China is in a way tied to TikTok.
Yeah.
And so now it's almost like a tit for tat. The government's potentially going to go after TikTok.
Yeah. So let's talk about TikTok. This is even since the last time we did, so I've been doing TikTok. It's been around for a few years, but in the United States.
Yeah, it was Musical.ly before.
Yeah.
And then last year it got rebranded TikTok, and it slowly started taking off.
So remember we were in California last fall, and we were doing TikToks.
Was it
Remember?
fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, October, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
'cause
last October, but I think I started doing it around August, September of last year. But then I started getting more into it. Just I love the dances, and I love the.
You were
so much
doing it.
fun.
You were doing it like once every couple days at the beginning of
Yeah.
this year, and now you're doing like 3 a day.
Yeah, I go back and forth, but you're right. For a while, I've just gotten so busy now that I just don't have time. But yeah, for a while I was doing it every day, and people are like, comment on my because I like to put it on my Instagram. It's great content, you know. To me, I love TikTok because it's endless content that you can port over to any other social media service, right? So it's just great content. But I have people on Instagram, they'd say, today's TikTok Monday. Wait, tomorrow's
It's
TikTok
funny.
Tuesday. Every day is. It seems like every day is TikTok
You-
day.
I laugh every time I see that TikTok Wednesday.
I do it
like, what do you mean?
intentionally.
It's TikTok every day.
I know. I do it intentionally.
I know. I figured that when I started to
TikTok
notice
Friday,
the pattern, I was
TikTok.
like,
Yeah, it's a joke, but yeah. I mean, it's become an everyday thing. I don't try to abuse the system, but they're so fun to do for me. You know, a lot of people are, and this is okay. So this is what I want to talk about. So TikTok, and Mindy always harps on me. She's like, "Why don't you make your own stuff on there?" Because when I first started, I told her I did not want to use that as a platform to talk about plastic surgery
Right.
because there's a lot of teenagers, a lot of
outlet
kids.
platform.
Yeah,
It's
it's
your
my outlet
fun-
platform. Yeah. I didn't want to use it as a way to be like, hey, here's breast implants. And, you know, there's kids, there's people influenced on there. I didn't want to go that route. But the more I do it, and as she's talked about it, I think there's ways I can educate still and have it fun and not make it feel like I'm trying to like exploit
Well, and I
you know,
think
people.
assuming TikTok stays around, that there's no government shutdown of it. And I think especially during these times where so many things are shut down and people are reevaluating how they market themselves, I think there's going to be a more defined business opportunity through TikTok, like for you to use it in more serious manners if you choose to do that. But, you know, we'll see. It's still so young.
It is.
You know, the evolution
gonna
of
evolve.
what it might be is to be determined.
Well, I mean, even look at Instagram, how it's evolved. You know, I remember the first time I used Instagram, I used it so I could put a filter on a picture so I could post it on Facebook.
Have you
know?
noticed the new version? They moved the shopping bag where the likes button used to be.
I didn't know that.
So like,
Haven't even-
you had the little heart button where you go
Yeah.
see who liked or who commented. They've now moved that to your profile page, and they put the shopping bag button right there because they're evolving to know that people are spending a lot of time shopping on Instagram.
Interesting.
People are advertising their businesses
Yeah.
on Instagram. They've now made it one step more accessible
right
for
there.
the consumer to find
Yeah.
it. So that right there is an evolution example
That's
of what
huge.
TikTok might evolve into.
Yeah. I think it's going to change. For now, again, I enjoy doing all the TikToks and all the dance challenges and all that stuff. It's fun. You know, it's kind of weird, though, because now when I go in public, like, and this Utah's small, but I without a doubt, if I go somewhere, someone will come up to me and say, hey, I love your TikToks. Like, and I don't even have that many followers on TikTok or Instagram. But they're all here, you know,
Right.
and they all know. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's cool. Like
Do you
I try
get
to approach
do you
people. and be
get
nice.
a lot of negative comments about
No,
it?
Not at all.
No.
Not to my face. I mean, maybe when they walk away. But I'll be like, you know, someone come like, hey, like, me and my friends are just talking about you and your TikTok. You know, I can tell because all of a sudden there'll be like 12 people. They're all friends. They'll start following me on Instagram, you know, because I'm a private account, which I wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah.
Is why I privatized my Instagram.
Well, I think it's.
But you'll
it
see when there's
shows-
clusters of people talking about it because all of a sudden there's be like all these follows. It's funny.
I mean, it's very authentic to your personality, and you've made this reference before. Like, you used to love to dance in high school, you know, break dance and whatnot, and so, like, this is your creative, emotional outlet. Like, you're doing serious stuff all day, 10, 12 hours a day, like you were mentioning. So to have a release like this, it's important for any person to have some type of creative release because it keeps your mind stimulated, keeps your mind fresh.
Yeah.
And so there shouldn't be, you know, any reason to be negative about it. But,
Yeah.
you know, people find ways all the time. So
Yeah, and there was a time, even a week or so ago, where there was some negativity, and you know, and I recognize this. My sister's done a lot of social media stuff for a while, and I've talked to her a lot about it because she gets a lot of negativity from people once in a while, and so I was kind of prepared for that. But it does when people say things to you, and it's not like they're attacking me directly, but it's almost like if they're either attacking my work or not my ethics or anything, but just like, oh, this is going off about a case or something I post on my Instagram. I take it personally because that's my work, and I do my best to have the best results I can. But so that definitely it's heavy, Not a lot of people target me on my TikToks, but they're probably like, that guy's old, they don't care, But I could see definitely where a lot of people be like, what is that boomer
Look at the
doing?
boomer doing the TikTok.
He looks so like not flexible, and I definitely am feeling that lately. But no, it's been good. I think for the most part, I try to be very positive, and that's one thing I get a lot of messages from people. They're like, "Thank you for posting this today. It was very positive for me." So that's what I try to be, is positive.
Make someone smile.
Yeah. And it
Make
can be
someone
like
smile for even if it's 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Any smile, one smile a day is better than no smiles a day.
Exactly. And I've had people message me say, I had a rough day. Thank you for that TikTok. It's like, it was just a TikTok in my mind, but to them, like I said, if it made them smile or it kind of turned their attention away, it gives you that, sense of like, okay, I can do this. There's a sense of optimism. I'm not alone,
Well, and sometimes, especially on social media, like followers, like people who are, whether it be me following a celebrity or someone else following a celebrity, like there's almost sometimes people get this insane expectation that everything that person does, they have to like. And if that person does something that they don't like, they feel like it's their right to demand it be different or whatever. And it's like, you're always welcome to unfollow. You know what I mean? You don't have to like everything I do. I like everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you're more than welcome to come along for the journey.
I mean, there's definitely things that I've posted that are controversial, when the Black Lives Matter and the Ron knows about this, that post. I mean, these are my true opinions, and I'm not trying to politicize what I do. I try to keep my page very much more business. Like, it's my practice, but I also want to reflect who I am through it. And I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to it, because they see my personality. But they also don't understand sometimes my background, And
your page is like a mullet. It's party in the front, or it's party in the back, and business in the front.
Business in the front, yeah. It's a good looking mullet. But yeah, so I try not to be political on there or religious or anything. I try to keep it, again, positive and clean. But, my personality stuff's going to come through. That's part of it, And like you said, I can't please everyone. That's not my goal. I want people to be happy. But you're right. Like, part of the reason I went private with my account, people have asked me quite a bit, even other plastic surgeons, like, why did you turn your account from public to private? Because before, when I was public, after I hit 10,000 followers back in March or whenever that was, I could do swipe ups, I can get analytics, I can do all these, messages and things, but made the decision, and it was a business decision for the page, for more growth, to go private. But also because for my content, I wanted it to really reflect me and to be myself. And if you don't want to follow me, you don't have to follow me. And my stuff's not going to be out there on the Discover page for some people. And I also, part of it is it's a strategy to get verified too. So some of the plastic surgery content, if it pops up on the Discovery page, and if it's like breasts, even if they're covered, I think, some people actually might get offended and stuff. And so Instagram sees that, and it's not favorable sometimes, is my understanding. So if I can keep that private, it shows that I'm trying to be on their good graces and, eventually be verified, which is the blue check. So that's another strategic goal. Because, I think we're building a brand. It's Dr. Chiddy now. So that's the other thing. When I went private, I changed from Jerry Chidester, MD, to Dr. Chiddy. Kind of like Chit Chow Chitty, This is kind of where this came from.
It's a very catchy. I mean, that's why we came up with that name, anyways. In the beginning, it's almost an informal way. It's easier to remember. It's easier to spell.
Yeah, totally.
Nobody misspells Chitty.
I had another weird spelling the other day.
But I think it's got a nice catch to it. So I thought it was cool that you decided to go to Dr.
like the
Chiddy.
website's now drchitty.com, our brand new website. Instagram, my TikTok handle, everything, Facebook, it's all just Dr. Chiddy. And it's easy, But that was kind of the brand. And so we're trying to create this, this brand. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's like you think there's a human and then there's a brand, and how it's the same thing. It's kind of, for a private solo practice, like that's what it is, If I had 5 other plastic surgeons with me, well, it wouldn't be Dr. Chiddy. It would be some other name. That's the brand. But so this is my brand.
So now that you have a private account, because before, you can just have 1,000 people a day start following you. Mm-hmm. Now you have to go in and hit accept to every follower request, right?
So I deny some people sometimes.
Really? What
I'll look at their account, and Yeah, if they're like not from the U.S., I mean,
If it looks
no
like a
offense,
spam
but
account
yeah,
or
a
something.
lot of the ones from outside the U.S. are spam. So I'll look at it. If they don't have any posts, if they follow like weird people, I will deny it.
You know
I'll
what's
block it.
funny is like
So
even
I curate
even
it.
my account, my personal account, which I only have like 80 people I keep in touch with. But after we first started doing the podcast and I started linking my account to the Chit Chat account and whatnot, and you were still public, I found some of those like spam accounts started following me, and I just went in there and just removed them
Yeah.
because I don't need that.
Yeah. So to me, the strategy, again, along the lines of going private, was it's all about engagement. So if you Instagram, the algorithms and things, at least as of right now, this could change tomorrow, but they favor engagement. And this is one of the big things of Instagram is they look at your percentage of how many followers you have. And then when you make a post or a story, how many of your followers are engaging, meaning how many are commenting, how many are liking, how many are doing the surveys, the yes, no questions, whatever. If you have more engagement, you bump up. So, my understanding is if I put a post up on Instagram, out of 1,000 followers, only 10 followers, like 10% of your followers will actually see that post when it first comes up. And I think over time, a couple more will see it. But a lot of times that will go into the ether for 900 of my followers, 990 of my followers. They'll never see that post. But if you have higher engagement, if you're on the good graces of Instagram, they will show it to 20 people, or 200 people, whatever it is, so you can bump it up. And then there's more likelihood of engagement. And it kind of builds on itself, So if you even look at a lot of my posts more recently, even the last month or so, and there's a guy out of LA that I work with, awesome, Karash, he's an awesome guy. So he helps a lot with the viral posts, and he's really helped the engagement. I think that's also helped in turn just my normal posts. Like if you look at normal posts on my likes, I get 1,000 likes, 1,200 likes. Where I used to get maybe 200-300.
Is he the one who's helping you with the cartoons? Of
Yeah,
yourself?
so he does all the same stuff.
Those cartoons I love those cartoons.
Dude, he does such a good job.
The real is the look. It looks genuinely like if you were in a cartoon, that's what you would look
like. So cool. I know. Yeah, the ones are like my office and stuff, or like Spider-Man sitting there, or any of those, or even you're talking about the real cartoons.
Like the real cartoons.
Oh yeah. Dude. He has like a whole team of these like artists. It's amazing.
Yeah, those are nice.
And I like that because it's creating again a brand. It's creating a personality and a brand. I'm like, yeah, it's a cartoon, but it's me. It's me. It's weird. The one with my kids was hilarious. With Tatum and Miley even and Mindy. So. I love that, but that's really, I think it just adds more content. It just builds more content around this, this Dr. Chiddy.
Diversifies your content.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not like if you notice, I used to, I didn't know what to post before, so I'd post a lot of quotes, and I love quotes, sure, but honestly, everyone sees a lot of quotes. Yeah. It's very common. So very rarely will I do any quotes anymore. I like quotes, but I'll put them on my stories or something, not on my wall. So the wall I just try to keep very clean, but also reviews from patients. All those are on my website. So I feel like for me, my Instagram doesn't need to be a bunch of patient reviews.
Right.
They can go to it's on my website. They're all on there. That's a great place to see that. But I really want to save that for befores and afters, TikToks, which are fun. I think educational stuff.
One of my favorite things is when you when one of your patients tags you in a story and then you repost the story. I like seeing those. That's because when you see the photos, the before and afters, right, you're for obvious reasons you're not showing who they are, and even if you were, you don't know who they are. But when you get to hear them talk in a story they've posted, it provides a whole new perspective on how you've helped them accomplish whatever they were trying to do.
Which is, it's interesting, as of late there's been a ton. I don't know if you noticed, even the last week, tons of patients, and I love that, like you said, because it makes it more real for people and people that are considering surgery. It's I can relate to that. I can't relate to, I see the results, great, but who is that? Like you said, there's no face there's no name, no personality, like you said. And it's but when they hear somebody else, it's almost like a testimonial, someone they can talk to, and they can DM them. A lot of times, I have patients that will direct message those patients because their name's on it, and then they get their questions answered. And so that's been awesome, and that's been just taken off lately too, And so all these things have been coming together, I think, in terms of social media. And I, as of late, have been doing a lot of mentoring and helping other plastic surgeons kind of navigate this, And I actually, I can tell it on here. So I started another company with a friend. He's in Italy. Do you know Tyler Mitchell? Do you remember? Yeah. So Tyler Mitchell, he's a lieutenant colonel in the Army. So he's kind of pretty bigwig leadership in Italy right now. But he started his own company. And a lot of it has to do with creating culture and leadership skills for new businesses and things. And so this is one thing that we tried to develop when I was in Corona times, because couldn't do all this. So I started meeting with him. We would Zoom conference, because Zoom calls were free. We still do it. But I started meeting with him every week, and we would talk about strategies for my business and how I could grow as a leader, but also how to organize my business, how to organize my practice. And I'd always told him I wanted to create a team of Avengers, because of my last experience with the last practice. I really wanted to do something where I could help other brand new plastic surgeons and people learn to navigate kind of what I went through, and maybe not have to go through all that,
Right.
So I told him I told Tyler, I was like, I want a team of Avengers, but I wanted to, to have like a plastic surgeon on board. I want someone who does this like leadership skills. I want someone who does, social media skills, even have attorneys on board, people like this core group of consultants essentially that we could help out brand new surgeons coming into practice, or surgeons transitioning from like academics to private, because that's
Right.
another whole story too. And so we started a company. It's called Sherpa MD. So Sherpa is like a Sherpa who helps people climb
Up to
a mountain,
Mount
like a
Everest.
horrible, yeah. So that's kind of like the background of that, is to help new plastic surgeons and other professionals too to navigate this thing. So we're piloting this right now with a couple of plastic surgeons, and it seems to be going very well, but it's something like, how do you quantify that? So it's kind of more help building structure and getting them ready with things like social media and stuff. And so I'll be advertising that more as we develop that. But that's another exciting thing I've been doing. I don't know when I have time to do this.
And are those plastic surgeons you're piloting that with, are those like surgeons who've just gotten out of residency,
Yeah.
or are they established surgeons? Or
The ones that we're piloting right now are, newer young surgeons, and I think I want to help them with is their boards, like for the board, American board,
How to
board
prepare for
certified,
that.
kind of prepare for that, since I went through that recently, and just some tips and things like that. But to navigate all of that, starting on
how
practice,
to avoid the wrong business relations.
Yeah, it's really important to, I think that's where Tyler is really good at this, is establishing a culture, kind of helping you figure out what's the culture that you want to create in your practice, and what is it that you're looking for? Because if you can't find that with another person, do not go there, And that's something I never had the foresight or even thought about, to be
Right.
honest. I was just like, I was excited. But so I think that's something we're helping these new plastic surgeons with, which is really exciting. And it seems to be going well. Eventually, we'd like to grow and add more Avengers to the team and all that stuff. But it seems to be going pretty well.
Awesome.
For me, I feel like plastic surgery, it really is like, I love what I do, but it really is just like one component of what I want to do as like a professional, not just operate all day. I love it, but there's other aspects I really want to do. Like I want to help educate people about social media, how it works with a practice, again, like how to build a practice. I'm still learning it too, but I think in doing this, I'm learning from other people almost as much as they're learning from me.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to do some hand surgery, I got that nodule.
Oh, you got a cyst? Oh,
You
yeah.
remember you had said that?
Oh, yeah,
If you want to
man.
cut that open, just
Yeah.
pop
do
it out.
7 minutes. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, you need that gone. Now, it might rupture on its own. That's what happened to mine.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
gone, yeah. Well, I sucked it out one time. Well, I aspirated it one time. Hit it with something one time.
Is it just like it's just like a little white ball under there, you think? That's what it
it's
is, or what?
synovial fluid. So it's almost like a jelly-looking fluid. It comes from your wrist joint. So when you
So what's
crack one
funny
of
is
the
like you had
capsules-
noticed it like, I don't know, it's like 6 months ago or something.
Was
and
it small back then?
And at that time, well, it was swollen that day,
Yeah.
but at that time it would fluctuate. And now for the last, I don't
Yes.
know, few months, it stays the size.
Is it painful?
No, it doesn't bother me, but I just think about every time I see it, I'm like, oh, Jerry should cut that out.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
Put that on.
A lot of
put
people
that on the
get
page.
ganglion cysts. You don't see anything. There's like, I have pain in my wrist. So I'll just grab the wrist. I'll just push in that one exact spot because it's always between the SL. Mostly it's between the scaphoid lunate. I push there like, ah! I'm like, oh, you got a cyst. I'm like, it's not grown yet. It's painful because it's actually trying to grow. And that's why
Right.
that pressure on that capsule is painful. But once it kind of relieves that pressure, it's like a zit. You relieve that pressure. It's like, ah. But then you see the big bubble. So a lot of times the big ganglion cyst, we call it, is not painful. But it can be. Like, I couldn't even do push-ups when I had mine. It was so
Oh,
painful.
yeah, mine's not like that. So.
Yeah.
Do you ever do you try to diversify the type, like, because it feels like people are starting to come to you specifically for mommy makeovers and breast augmentations, but you've tried to make it known like you do all plastic surgery and you've specialized in hand surgery. Do you worry that like you're gonna get to the point where like you're only like the midsection guy, you know? Because you know, I haven't seen you post anything specific like, I don't know, rhinoplasty or anything like that. I used to do a lot of lip injections back at the old place, but is that something that you're conscious of like I need to maybe diversify on my wall of what I'm doing so people don't think I only do this? Because maybe someone might think of you as only like mommy makeover breast dog and they're going to go to somebody else for a rhinoplasty. Like what's your kind of process?
Yeah, so I've told people, you know, if you like my breast augmentations, you'll love my rhinoplasties. And I have done some here. I'm not currently advertising them for other reasons, but soon you will see more. You'll see them on my wall.
Nice.
But yeah, so I do them, and I will, you know, if someone wants to see it in the office, I'm happy to show them photos. But I'm not advertising the face, head, and neck stuff. But I do it all. I'm trained to do it all, and I do it very well. So,
you just don't, you know,
but you're right. I mean,
that's the
like,
problem
I'm not
with
putting it on
social media, right?
Yeah.
Is like what you put on social media becomes your image.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know why you haven't done that to this point, but I was just curious if that was something you thought about recently. Or
not. No, it's good. And I get people emailing all the time about, you know, rhinoplasties and things, and I'll share photos and things with them. So, but you know, and then same with lip injections and injections in general. You know, there's just
and there's
one thing you realize
that just can't be shown.
There's just a lot of politics that goes on in the back that, you know, I'm constantly navigating that no one knows about. Yeah. But you know, someday there will be an opportunity where I can advertise everything that I do and it won't matter. So, you know, I kind of had a 2-year plan coming into this after leaving the last place, and everything for that plan is ahead of schedule, which is awesome. Which has been a big blessing. We just had, you know, awesome patients and just this overwhelming response. I mean, even like though I'm only advertising, like you said, the body and the breast and hand stuff, I mean, you know, we're booked until like almost December now, and it's July, and I'm fully booked 3 to 4 days a week surgery. I can't fit anybody else.
Right.
You know, and like I can't even, like I'm doing emergency surgeries on like in the evenings or super early in the morning to fit them in when it's like hand stuff, because I do not have time.
Right.
And even consults, like people message me on Instagram, I probably get, you know, 5 to 10 a day, and I'm like, look, I can't get you until November, almost
That's
December
crazy.
now, and it's July.
5 to 6
and
months
this
out.
It's like double book, you know. And the thing is, I don't want to dilute people's experiences, you know. And I've always said I don't want quantity over quality. I want quality first. So I'm sorry if you have to wait. I'm worth the wait, but you know, and I get it. And some people are like, look, my timing, I can't. Like I've had people come in, and they said, you know, I ended up going to another surgeon because I couldn't get in to see you, but here's my friend, and they refer their friend because their friend has time, and they couldn't, and they're like, you know, and I'm happy for them. They got it done, and there's a lot of really good surgeons here, but you know, people will still refer their friends to me, and you know, I do my best.
6 months, like that's a long time for anything, you know, regardless of what. Like, I'm a very impatient person.
Oh,
so
I
like
know.
I don't
It's very
I don't
impulsive.
like shopping online because I like to have the thing I just paid for right now.
sure.
You know, so like
Oh yeah.
I'm like the most anti-Amazon person ever because I don't want to wait 2 days for it. Like I want to go to the store and get it right now. So like if I had to wait 6 months for something I really wanted, like I would be miserable.
This is what I've had. I've had literally people message me and say, I really wanted to come to you. I ended up having to go somewhere else. I'm already planning my revision surgery with you. It's like,
that sucks.
So what I say is, look, like these things are worth waiting for.
Right.
6 months. Yeah, you're right. But
Both
if you're
the
already
time
planning to have a
and the
revision,
physical.
like, come on.
The money you spend and the physical
Yeah, I mean, it's a
process you
permanent-
go through. You would think you'd want to, like, if you can, for put the just wait for it. But
yeah,
you had one story you shared where she had, like, the lady had done it like, I don't know, a bunch of different times, and it just kept getting bad and bad, and then she finally was able to, like, she didn't think her husband was going to pay for it.
Yeah, she shared that on.
And that was a cool story.
Yeah, that was actually I posted that on my wall. Like I said, I don't really post a lot of reviews, but that one I posted that more for personal reasons at that point, because that was actually during one of the weeks it was really rough. Like I was getting a lot of just weird DMs and comments on stuff. And it was the one week I had done the patient where I did the vertical incision and the horizontal, the fleur-de-lis. And I got so much grief for that. And for one, I'm like, it's funny that people haven't seen this, but like, why would you do that? Yeah. But it's kind of the first one I posted. And so that all happened. I was like, man, like, why are these people just hating? And then that patient messaged me, and it was like, it was
a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, a breath of fresh air, like, and honestly, I don't get the grief from my patients. It's other people that are kind of trolling that follow along. They're not my patients. My patients, they're amazing. They're awesome people, and most of my followers are. So it was just weird to me. And I think part of this is too, like I said, I try to screen who follows me, but a lot of times, like, I don't know. And some people, like, their whole intent is to troll, which is sad. And some people I think are genuinely curious, like, why would you do that? And that's fine. Like, I don't have anything against that.
I know, because it wasn't one of the issues, like, why would someone want that? Like, they're going to have a scar. Like, wasn't that kind of their thought? Like, aren't they going to have a scar there? And, like, why would someone want a scar up there?
Why would someone scar there?
And I hadn't really thought about it that way before I read that. But at the same time, like, I think you made the point that, like, the alternative for that person is worse, right?
Yeah,
like they'd rather live with the scar, and everything else they feel really good about than whatever the alternative of that is.
I don't know. It's interesting to me because the first thing people always ask is, like, what does the scar look like? And I get it. If you're standing in the mirror and you're naked, like, you're gonna look at a scar. You want it to look good. There's certain things of a scar I can't control. I do my best. I do a very nice closure, and they look great. But to me, it's like people forget that what they had before the scar. The scar should be a reminder of what you had.
Right.
The really loose skin and where you came from, the infections and all that stuff, whatever it was. But I think, in my mind, it's kind of good. If people forget where they came from because they're so used to what they have now and they're happy with it, that they focus on the scar, that's fine to me. Because scars you can treat too if it really bothers you. There's ways you can lighten scars and things. And the good thing about scars is they lighten over time.
Yeah, I have one.
Time makes them so much lighter.
I have one from a car wreck about almost 20 years ago, like 18 years ago, and I've noticed, like, it used to be really visible on the back of my leg, and I have to look really closely now to find it.
Exactly, that's the scar. Your body is always modeling.
It was like that thick, and it was like that long. It was really visible, and now it's gone. So in 20 years.
Yeah, but to me, the cycle, and this patient specifically that I keep showing her follow-ups because she's looking amazing. And so at the time people are like, and so for me, it's more like I have a vision of what it's going to look like in 2 years, in 6 months, 2 years, 10 years. A lot of people, that's the problem with Instagram, I think, and social media is people are looking now. What does it look like right now? And that's what it's going to be like forever in their minds, where really that's not the case. But for this patient, psychologically, I mean, she wrote me a message as well. And she's like, it has just completely changed me. Like, I am so happy, like, she's like, I've done the work and I did things I had to do, but I could not do anything about this. Like, it was there, the skin, the scar, all this hanging tissue was there. She couldn't do anything about it. She needed somebody else's help. And
at that point, there's not like any exercise that's gonna help that, right?
You can't exercise skin off. The more you exercise, the more skin's gonna hang.
Right.
Skin is not something that goes away. You burn fat, but your fat cells are still there. You're shrinking them down to nothing. You could always gain weight back, But I tell patients a lot of times, there's something called lipodystrophy or dystrophic fat. So it's fat that's not acting normal. So, or stubborn fat.
Almost like
right?
dead fat.
Yeah. So this is what I tell patients. I compare it to, I say, look at your tummy. Look at the stretch marks. Those stretch marks are never going to go away, right? You're stretched out. They're stretched forever. It's a scar. I'm like, the dystrophic fat is the same thing. It's scarred fat. It's never going away. You're going to work out till whatever. Your body fat can be whatever percentage. It will always be there because it's scar tissue, essentially, and it has to be removed. It cannot just go away on its own. And I think once I tell patients that, they're like, oh, like, I didn't think of that. Like, I worked so hard. Why is it there, you know? And same with the diastase, like the separation of your muscles. Like, I had a patient the other day, 7 centimeters. Like, you can strengthen your muscles all you want. It is not going to narrow that gap.
You could have
not gonna do anything.
A six-pack under a big flab.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it because all you see is the flab because of the diastasis.
Yeah. So that message you mentioned about that patient, that was, again, really refreshing for me at that time. That's why I posted it, because of everything that's been going on. So, I try to, again, remain very positive online. I try to remain positive in person, but it's not easy. It's a daily.
Well, and it's
thing.
honestly, I mean, as sad as it is, it's only gonna be more difficult as you gain more followers. Because I mean, you think about how hard it is now. You have 18,000 followers. Like, imagine what it's like for
Oh, man.
Kylie
I
Jenner, who
can't
has
imagine.
140 million, right? Like,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it doesn't ever seem to affect her, but you have to
Yeah,
just
you know it
imagine the
does.
type of negativity she gets for
Yeah.
140
Oh,
million
for
people.
sure.
And it's just people feel this need to
Yeah.
tout their 2 cents on everything.
Yeah, it's sad that people feel the need to put others down to uplift themselves, or to just almost feel like if I can make someone else
They feel like-
miserable, I'm gonna be miserable.
They feel
with
like it's their job, right? They feel like
Yeah.
they're social media warriors, and they need to contribute to telling somebody something's wrong or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know, it's like it's okay to disagree on something and
Yeah.
not believe, not like something, but
yeah.
what does it accomplish to perpetuate negativity? you
Yeah.
know?
So that's why, again, I try to be very positive, and I'm never like, I would never. And the reason I say this is, you think, well, aren't all plastic surgeons, are they all that way? Well, I'll be honest, no. Like, I follow a lot of accounts where some of their posts are very much like almost trying to put others down and to make themselves look better than the others. Like, to me, like, there's no reason for that. Like, your work should speak for itself, and the way you portray yourself, you speak for yourself. It's like, this is very different than anything before, right? Before, it's like, look in the yellow pages, look at the billboards. That's how I find my plastic surgeon, right? Go see 10 different ones. Well, guess what? Nowadays, you can watch their Instagram. Essentially, you can like follow them for months. I have a lot of people say, I've been following you for months, and they finally message me, because they kind of feel comfortable. Like, okay, I kind of know this guy. I listen to know how he is. I've seen his work. I see his work ethic, and then they feel comfortable approaching me, we good?
Yeah, I was just checking the time.
Oh, okay, yeah. But anyway, so that's I kind of think where it's gone now. So I think Instagram has really made it so you can show who you are. And so the people that I help out with the Instagram on their new accounts and stuff is to say, look, be educational, be yourself, be positive, and that's will speak more than anything else you can do, in my opinion. So.
Well, you're almost to 20. That's gonna be the next celebration.
Yeah, 20K, that'll be awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, like, my goal isn't to have like 5 million followers. I
Right.
mean, that'd be cool.
Sure.
But my goal is to reach people who are in need of, something, whether it's plastic surgery or education or just some good old TikToks and optimism. That's kind of my goal for my account.
And I think you've mentioned this, like, your account acts as your marketing, right? So you're not having to spend money out on traditional marketing. You're essentially getting it for free, online, and you're able to put that money to other use within your business. And
Yeah, I do have other outlets that I use because I don't want to just put all my eggs in one basket. So there are other ways that I advertise, whether it's through Google or through my website, through the SEO of my website, or other third-party websites. But you're right. The bulk of what I do and the time I invest is in Instagram. I mean, Instagram, you can also do paid ads. I tried doing that for a while. It just didn't seem to work, to be honest. So I just don't do it now. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely the main thing. But that could change. I mean, tomorrow Instagram gets shut down. They may shut my account down. Like, yeah, who knows, Yeah. And so I always want to have a backup.
well, real quick then, last thing on that topic. If they shut down TikTok, what are you going to do?
I mean, the good thing is that they shut down TikTok, something else will take its place.
So
Always.
there is another one called Byte.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like
heard of
the
Byte. I
more
had Byte.
it's supposed to be more reflective of what was the
Vine.
Vine, yeah.
Yeah.
But people are like, "Oh, TikTok's shutting down, go get Byte."
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, I don't make money off TikTok directly. A lot of
I don't
people
know.
that monetize it,
I'm surprised the people that do make money off it, but anyways,
Yeah.
that's another story.
So, but if it's shut down, I mean, even Instagram is making something called Reels. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah, that's right. I heard.
So other companies are realizing the success of TikTok. I think TikTok's so successful because it allows you to share to other platforms so readily, so easily, and it gives you access immediately to these sound bites and these music things and people instantly that you can just turn around and do,
Yeah.
And that may evolve too. I don't know, but that's kind of where it sits right now. But yeah, for now I enjoy it. It's fun, and I love doing the transitions. I like doing the
need to-
harder like edits. I
need to
enjoy
do
challenging myself.
you need to find a cool one to do with all your Jordans. It'd be
Yeah.
cool to do TikTok with all your Jordans.
You're
up to like 25 pairs or something.
I don't
right?
know. I love Jordans.
Every time I see a new, because I've seen you like once in the last 5 months. And
bought a
every
lot of
time I
Jordans
see a
during,
video or something, I'm like, hey, he got another pair of Jordans.
I love them. Yeah, I did do one, and I got so much grief on TikTok because you're
I know,
creasing
'cause
your
you're creasing,
Jordans.
like,
Yeah.
The purist, like, why do you buy a shoe if you're gonna pay
I'm
pay
sorry.
$250 for a shoe,
I'm not gonna let it sit
and you're gonna
there.
let it sit in your
I'm
closet?
sorry,
Like
that's
that's
not
a
me.
waste of money.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sorry. I'm wearing
yeah.
it. I'm wearing it.
I
They're
get
Jordans.
wanting
I love them.
I get wanting to keep them as clean
Yes,
and
for sure.
when you're not wearing them, stuff them so that you
Yep.
don't get a crease. As soon as
Yep.
you're done wearing them, clean them up.
Sure.
But like to just let them sit in the closet, that's just stupid.
Yeah. What's the point?
It's a waste.
I would love to get the Air Dior's, but they're like $12,000.
Yeah, I heard you
man.
talking about that the
Yeah,
other day.
it's not
Don't
gonna
get
happen.
them, dude. They're stupid.
Oh, I
Like,
know.
on it.
I'm
Like,
not paying
they don't
that
even
much.
look good. I'll tell you,
'Kay.
they don't even look good.
If I could have got them for maybe 2,000,
No.
that's the
No.
price. Yeah, but that's never gonna happen because they're not gonna be released.
I know that's not going to happen, but that's just a bad mindset that thinking a shoe is worth $2,000. No shoe is worth $2,000. Not even some red bottom Louis Vuittons that my wife wants. Okay,
Those might be. I'm just kidding.
that's what they're going to charge, but
know.
they're not worth it.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's,
You know what?
It's worth what people are willing to pay for it.
Some poor little kid in a poor country
True.
made those for $2.
It's true.
That's what it comes down
markup's
to.
insane.
Yeah. So,
Well, cool.
but listen, you want to spend a couple $100? All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't spend $2,000 on any shoe. I don't care if Kanye
Yeah,
signed it.
I don't know if I ever will, to be honest. I don't think I'll ever get to that point.
Instead, take me on a $2,000 vacation.
Dude,
okay?
let's do it. Yeah, when we can actually get a vaccine and get out of the States.
2022.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Chit Chat with Chiddy. I'm Jerry Chidester, MD. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon in Draper, Utah, which is just south of Salt Lake City. This is my good friend, my colleague, my producer of this show, Ron Nichols. He's Nicholsodes on Instagram. Well, thanks you guys so much for tuning in. We are probably not doing this on a weekly basis, given both of our schedules. Probably mainly my schedule right now, but Ron's also very busy. Well, thank you so much, you guys. Have an awesome day.
In hand anesthetic surgery. Kick start my day. Grab some Thai food on the way. Call me the taste bud surgeon as you watch me stuff my face. Rocket Jordans with my suit. I'm a true gentleman. BMW matted black. Used to ride a minivan. Augment reality. Upsize and get a lift. Give that nose a job if you really need to see it shift. Got them wrinkles running scared. Kill them with some Botox. Keep your face looking fresh like my 50 pairs of shock. Chi-Town, Saudi Arabia, high school, college at the U. Loma Linda, USC. Back to Utah round 2. Not just simply tight like some creamer. I'm half and half. Watch me drop it like it's hot when you really need to laugh. 7-finger tummy tuck, everything in between. Hit me up on Instagram, create reality from a dream. Chit chat with Chitty. Chit chat with Chitty. Chit chat with Chitty. Chit chat with Chidester.